Believe it or not, there are actually some comic shops in my area that I still have not been to yet, and today I decided to make the trip to one of them. The shop is called 1811, and they're a bit of an interesting shop. That's something I really like about the Buffalo area, is that we have a lot of comic shops and they all have their own distinct flavor, and this one's actually full of flavor because they actually are located in a candy store. So the downstairs is actually an ice cream slash chocolate shop, and then upstairs is all collectibles, all comic books. Wow. It's a big action figure. $300. There's so much to look at here. You have a little arcade section. But hold that thought, we'll actually be heading back to the arcade later. And of course, I was immediately drawn to the $5 section. And something cool about this place is that they had a little spot for $5 trade paperbacks. I always like to dig through that. It's a lot of good reading material for only $5. Of course, there's a lot in here that I already had, but one thing that I had to pick up was a copy of Superman for All Seasons. I already have the single issues, but I love this story, so for $5, I think I'm gonna buy this and give it as a gift to somebody. I wasn't seeing a lot of older stuff at this shop. It was mainly 90s to modern stuff that I was seeing. It seemed like more 2000s and up, which is still really cool. There are actually a lot of really cool underrated books from that time period. And it is so much fun to look through. You could really spend all day here if you wanted to. The walls are all covered in some kind of comic books or action figures. So remember when I said we'd be going back to the arcade? Well, that's because I was chatting a little bit with the owner of the shop, and he let me know that there were some boxes tucked away under the table in there. I didn't even notice when I walked through the first time. He was giving it away for cover price. A lot of these would probably go in the $5 section, but I think some of them would be a little bit more, like this one right here. At this point, I had been looking around for hours and I was getting a little bit tired, so I really didn't film that much from this section, but I got quite a few books. So be sure to watch until the end to see what I picked up. There you have my first time at 1811 Comics. This is a shop that's been on my radar for a little while, and I finally had the chance to check them out, and what did I think? I thought it was a really good experience. I really enjoyed it. They also have a little ice cream and chocolate shop downstairs. Very unique shop, great atmosphere, very friendly people, and a great selection of comics. I will say that personally, I found some of the priced issues to be a little bit more than I would personally like to pay, but I will say I think the $5 section was a gold mine and there was a lot of good to be found. So I'm going to show you guys what I picked up from the $5 trade paperbacks. I got a copy of Superman for All Seasons. If you don't know this story, it is by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, creative team of Batman The Long Halloween. They teamed up to do this 4-issue series, and each issue is one different season, and it's narrated by an important person in Superman's life. Very, very good story. Very, very sweet. This is one that my husband Luke and I really, really like, and he particularly loves this story. This story made him really understand Superman more, and it's something that he's bought multiple times to give away to people as a gift, so I figured for $5 it wouldn't hurt to grab another copy. I have all the single issues, but I don't have a trade paperback, so maybe we'll wind up keeping it, but probably wind up passing it along to someone. And it looks like this is a bit of an older printing too, so really neat. You don't see those every day. And everything else I got, I paid cover price for, and these are all from like the 2000s. I think there's one from 95 and one from like I think 2011, so everything here is like $2.99 and under, so really not that bad compared to what cover price is today. And a lot of this was stuff I was already on the lookout for, so I was really, really happy to find it. I always love looking through these unsorted collections, and this is something that I found out about like a week ago. Like, I didn't even know that there was a sequel to Hush before the current sequel to Hush that's going on, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, so I'm guessing it's not remembered that fondly, or maybe it's because it's in Gotham Knights, which was kind of a second-rate, third-rate Batman title. But something that is really cool and significant about these books is that the covers were done by Lee Bermejo, and that's some of his earlier work for Batman. I think his earliest stuff was Death Blow in 2002, and then this was 2004, so some of his early work, he only did the covers on this series, but just really cool to have. I love these, and even if the story itself isn't that great, these are books I would like to have in my collection anyways. So this one is number 50 and number 51. This one's really cool with the Joker and the Riddler. Lee Bermejo went on a few years later to do the Joker story with Brian Azzarello. Number 52. So yeah, if anybody has read this series, let me know if it's any good, but I definitely picked these up for the Lee Bermejo covers, and it's kind of crazy because I didn't even know these existed until like a week ago, and then I just happened to find them. And 53, that's all that I got from this set. There are a couple more books in the set that they didn't have, or at least I didn't see when I was flipping through. But I did get 4 of them, so I'm pretty happy with that to add to my Batman Liebermejo cover collection. So, something I've brought up in videos, I showed my Lobo comic collection, and I talked about how Lobo has a lot of really fun one-shots, and I'm always finding out about new Lobo one-shots I didn't know existed, and today was no exception for that. I found this one from 1995 called Lobo, I Quit. And apparently the story is Lobo's trying to quit smoking. And I just think that's really funny. I'm sure that this will be a very entertaining book. I'm sure for anyone out there who has quit or attempted to quit, this will probably hit home. So I look forward to reading it. And yeah, this is just one that I had no idea existed. And that's how it seems to go with these. And I'm not complaining about it. Oh, and then this one's a really good one, actually. This is kind of a bit of an underrated book, I'd say. This is Batman The Dark Knight #3 from the New 52. And this one is the first cover appearance of the White Rabbit, who is a character that hasn't really been used all that much, but I guess she has been getting some popularity lately. I've been seeing this book a lot, and it's something that I definitely needed for my Batman collection. But I was able to pick it up for cover price, which at the time was $2.99. I was seeing similar listings for like $20. So definitely a sought after book in a series like Batman The Dark Knight that wasn't necessarily the main Batman title. This one can kind of go under the radar a little bit. So instead of buying it for those eBay prices, I would definitely urge you to check those bins and see if you can find it for cheaper. I'm happy to have this one in my collection, so there you go. First cover of White Rabbit. And then I got some books for my Legends of the Dark Knight collection. And that's a series I'm always adding to. I'm always looking out for ones I don't already have. This one is issue 150. And that's just a really sweet cover. Never seen this one before. And this is one that I was looking out for. I've never seen this one out and about before. And this one is Legends of the Dark Knight 161. The storyline is called Autorism. And very cool art style in this. The art is done by Roger Langridge. I'm not sure if he does the covers as well, but it's a very interesting style. It's kind of like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Batman the Animated Series, if it was just like a little bit more zany. Very cartoony, very interesting. And then this one is issue 163, and this is where I was really getting that kind of Batman the Animated Series, but a little bit darker and more zany kind of feel. So I was really happy to pick these ones up. These are ones that I've known about, but I've never actually gotten a chance to pick up. And yeah, you know, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that was catching my eye that I would have liked to pick up, but this was all stuff that I would have wanted to get anyways. So something I've been trying to do for a little while, but especially this year, is kind of limit impulse purchases. And these are all things that I would have gone out of my way to get eventually. So I was really happy to find them for the deal that I did. Or you have something like Lobo, I Quit, where I'd never heard of this before, but this absolutely fits with my collection. I kind of just love the fact that I'm always finding weird, different Lobo books. So I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one. Peace out.